something kind of cool. Initially, I was going to use a foam pad, kind of like I did on that Mastercraft the other day. But today, I was dealing with some stuff here. I'll just show you. If you remember the beginning of the video titled Bruce Lee versus Mike Tyson, see these scratches up in here? It doesn't get better. As we get further down, those scratches get even worse. And then you see all these water spots. These actually aren't water spots anymore. We've chemically removed the water spots. This is burnt into the gel coat, and it goes all the way back. This side's much worse than the other side. However, the other side is just as neglected wax-wise as this side. Today, instead of using a foam pad, I decided to go with a wool pad. And instead of going with some fancy, new, crazy compound like Presta or Level R or who gives a rat's ass, I'm going to use 3M's Heavy Cut for a number of reasons. 1, I like it. 2, it works. 3, we have some. And 4, I think a lot of YouTubers don't know how to get compound to do the things that compound's supposed to do. So you see the reflection here, how it's dull and kind of chalky. This isn't something that's going to wipe off. This is the boat. Now, right here is a section that I've used Heavy Cut on with a wool pad. I haven't wiped anything off, but this is what it looks like when it's wiped off. Pretty clear, right? Now, you might be saying to yourself, but that's in the shade and I have no idea what it's going to look like when it's bright out. There you go. Move the camera down a little bit. See that? That's what I'm talking about. That type of clarity. With Heavy Cut. Heavy Cut by 3M and a wool pad. That's all that is. A little bit of polish. So today I'm going to show you exactly what I do and how I do it on this. I'll be working from, let's see, to the left of that little vent on the side of the hull, right after I wipe off this section of compound that I've already done. So let me put you on pause real quick. I'll set up the camera. I'll wipe off this section. You can take a look at what it looks like. All right, let's get into this and see what it looks like once we wipe it off. I'm anticipating good things, but you know me, I'm an optimist, so. Well, it's looking pretty good, not gonna lie. How good will be determined when the sun comes out and I see it full sunlight, but for right now, I've got good clarity, I've got good color. Most of the big scratches are gone. I don't see any residue from the water spotting. So yeah, kind of happy about that. All right, that looks good. So if you're interested, let me slide you on over here. Boop, boop. Yeah, that's good. All right, I should warn you, this gets a little bit loud. I'm going to put the compound directly on the pad. This side is a little bit dirty, so pop this off, flip over to the clean side, and I'm going to place the compound directly on the pad because while it's a hot day, and even though we're in the shade, black gel coat, especially oxidized gel coat, has a tendency, when you place compound directly on it for any longer than about a half second, burn itself in semi-permanently. So let's avoid that. Everything's the same. I'm going to place this on the boat, I'm going to spread it around, I'm going to hit my edges, then I'm going to cross cut. Once I do that, I'm going to smooth it out a little bit. After I do that, I'm going to speed it up. Ready? Here we go! Spreading! Edges first. Okay, edges are handled. Let's do some cross cuts. And now for the fun part. Nice and slow, just to take out some of the whip marks if I actually left some in there. I usually don't, but you never know. Again, this is in the shade, I can't see it in the sun. The sun's really the only way you can tell how good of a job you're doing, so maybe what I should do is move this out into the light. But the technique is going to be the same, so as long as you're watching and paying attention, you can do this. Put you on pause for just a second and then go grab some sun. All right, I'm back. All right, so I know you can see these little swirls from the compounding. Wop, 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 wop. Let's see what they look like when they're wiped off, shall we? So I'm gonna turn this off so we can surprise you. Around you. All right, let's grab that light again and see what we see. Hopefully I haven't made a liar out of myself. Oh look, it's just a light now. What do you think about that? Anyway, heavy cut, wool pad. Other detailers can suck it. And we're back. Okay, here we are, black cobalt. This is the one with the burnt in water spots. If you recall, I was calling this one, this little section here, this is the Mike Tyson. This is the wool pad and Super Duty. And this was the foam pad in Super Duty. So this was the Bruce Lee. Obviously it didn't do too much compared to Mike Tyson down there. So, getting into this a little bit more, I was talking about the scratches from the cover. As you can see, it's gone up to the front, and they're pretty decently in there. Now, once you get up past the break in the, about where the port light is, from there forward, it's really just average cobalt. From there back, though, it's a little bit more heinous than I'm used to. So, what does it take? Well, I started off with a foam pad using Super Duty. Did the entire boat in Super Duty. After that, I came back over the entire boat again with heavy cut. And just to make sure, to absolutely drive the point home that I was not going to have an upset day, I went ahead and grabbed the foam pad and used Perfected EXAC. So that's what you see here, and if you remember that big Seaway, the big black one I did earlier this year, I kind of left the pattern in here, mostly for also a little bit lazy. I haven't wiped it off yet, but let's see what it looks like once it's wiped off, shall we? Okay, all wiped off. Now, I want to tell you, this is a boat that's in the shade. So it's going to look really, really good because it's a dark Gelcoat boat, and you're going to see all the light bouncing back and forth. You can see colors, and it looks really good. But again, it is in the shade. Although today is about 85 degrees, so F you if you wanted me to work in the sun, because it's a Saturday, and I'm feeling like, no, don't really want to do that. All that aside, all the kidding aside, I think it looks really good. Turned out to look like a Cobalt, a black, shiny Cobalt. Now, my favorite, absolutely favorite part of this boat is what you don't see right here. What are we missing? We're missing an emblem that says Cobalt. Instead, now we have a vacuous space that says Lee was here. Womp womp. And if you're wondering why, no matter how good any detailer is, you can get in here, you can get all this nastiness and make it look great like it came straight from the factory, but why? You can't obviously get it to look as good as, or you can't go as deep as you can here, because you can get more aggressive here than you possibly could up here. So, called the customer and said, hey, is it okay if I rip off this emblem? And he was like, well, as long as you replace it with another emblem. And I was like, we'll talk. Like, you could take a look at it and see if you like it without the emblem. Also, there's some two-dimensional decals that are in chrome that look just as good as this from about 10 feet away. You don't even notice it. And beyond that, it's easier and easier each time to detail around decals than it is emblems that raise out from the side of the boat. So, I'm going to order a couple decals and maybe a couple emblems just to have them on deck. But if the owner comes back and says, you know what, I know it's a Cobalt, you know it's a Cobalt, and I really don't care if anyone else knows it's a Cobalt, I don't need a decal or an emblem, I'm going to be just like, yay. So here you go. It's super cut, heavy cut, and I'm sorry, I always call these things the wrong name. Super Duty by 3M, Heavy Cut by 3M, and Perfected EXAC also by 3M. But here's the results. I'll try to catch a reflection in my watch. Oh, my watch is dirty. Try that. No, still dirty. I don't actually think there's any swirls in this. The next step is to work on the red stripe down below, because it is really, really bad. I've hit it as often as I hit the hull. Unfortunately, there are some things in it that I'm not a fan of. I'm getting more of a pink than I am a red, and I know that there's red in there. So I'm going to keep working on it for a little while, see how much damage I can do before I get too hot. There you go. Water spots, etching, oxidation. Grab yourself a buffer. And this only took, let's see, I've been here since 1 o'clock. Probably took me a half hour to get my stuff out, ready, drink a Gatorade, stand around, look at the boat, hate myself, and then I got to it. And then boom, there she is. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, hit me up.